Hey, it's Grady at Twin Creek Audio, and welcome to the second episode ever of Reverb Raiding, finding analog gems on the marketplace, where we look at different listings on reverb.com for analog recording gear. In the last Reverb Raiding video, we looked at mixing consoles, specifically recording consoles. But today we're going to look at tape machines. In fact, I've got a few here in the studio I'm working on to feature in videos, so make sure to check out my last video for upcoming analog tape machine videos. So let's go see what kind of professional studio tape machines we can find on Reverb. First thing I want to show on here, and this has been listed for a while, they call it a historic MCI JH-5 2-inch 16-track JH-8, which I think he means the electronic modules are JH-8. JH-5, I don't know if this transports a JH-5 transport or what this is, but it is definitely a cool looking machine. I mean, I don't know how difficult something like this would be to get working because, you know, it's a prototype or a very early MCI. But this has been listed for a while. This is really cool. The heads look like they're in pretty good shape. With tape machines, condition is kind of everything. And it does look like it's in good condition, but look at the auto locator. It's not even an auto locator 2 or an auto locator 3, it's just the auto locator. And it's taken apart, or this is made to mount in the console to run the tape machine. But what's going on with this mess right here? I don't know. All these cables and different things. That's power supplies. Looks like it's all there. Who knows how hard this would be to get working again though. But that is a cool historic tape machine. Yeah, I like this. This thing's cool. If I had the time and the know-how and the money, this would be a fun restoration project, and it might be hard to get working, but once you did, it would probably sound pretty cool. Got a few classic Ampex machines. First of all, we've got this beautiful ATR-102. That's just a classic mastering level machine right here. It's a 1/4 inch 2-track, and this is supposed to be pretty much the best 2-track master machine ever made. This one looks like it's in good condition. Cosmetically, it's in good condition here. This is a nice machine. It's got selection for IEC or NAB EQ on the card. That's a nice feature. Ooh, it's got a video. Can we watch the video? Ooh. Well, it obviously works. So they've got a demonstration video there. So this is a working machine. But it's $9,950, so I don't think I'm going to be purchasing an Ampex ATR-102 anytime soon, if ever, because these things are pretty pricey. And I'm sure they're like any other tape machine where they're going to need maintenance and parts, because these are not new or anything. This is a vintage piece of equipment, so this is, yeah, that's pretty expensive. Yeah, it's close enough I could go pick it up if I had almost $10,000 to spend, which I don't. So hooray, let's go look at a less expensive Ampex now. There's a couple of these ATR-700 machines, which these are actually made by TIAC for Ampex, so they're just rebadged TIAC machine, but they are really good quality machines, and these do have balanced XLR connections. Let's see if there's a picture of that. There we go. So yes, it's a TIAC machine, but with balanced XLR inputs and outputs and branded Ampex. But still a very, very cool machine. I'm sure these probably are pretty reliable because the old TIAC stuff is really well made. I love the buttons on Ampex. Even though this is a TIAC made Ampex, they still use the Ampex style buttons like you would have seen on the old MM-1200. Or any of the old Ampex machines from the 70s have that style of buttons, which I think that's just so cool. And another ATR-700, the Japanese-made Ampex, which is actually made by TIAC. So here's Here's a second Ampex ATR-700. This one looks like it's had the cabinet replaced with, or maybe they took the veneer off or painted it. I don't know. That doesn't look like the original cabinet. But you know, it's $495 plus $200 shipping. So, you know, if you look for one of these and want to restore one, he hasn't really tested this one. It turns on, but he doesn't have any tapes to test it. So this could be an interesting machine for somebody that wanted to restore one. You might get a good deal. He just wasn't able to test it because he doesn't have any tapes to test it with, but it does turn on and seem to operate, and it has a strange wooden case built around it. So who knows? That could be a good project for someone. And again, this is a nice Japanese made machine made by TIAC for Ampex, and they have balanced input and outputs. And here we have another Ampex. It's a mid-70s Ampex 440C. I think this is a pretty decent model of 440 because the C, something about the transport is maybe a little more modern. It's really raining, so if you hear that in the background, that's the rain. And I'm actually in the workshop area of the studio right this second. So yeah, here's our Ampex 440C. Looks like it's got the manual. And what do they say about it? It does turn on, can't get it to play. It needs a remote or a jumper plug for this to happen. The well has broken off the wood side from age. It does pass audio through the circuitry without issue. That's pretty interesting. And he's got a TAC Scorpion console as a package deal with this one. So that'd be interesting. It's a really long way from me in Connecticut though. The 500 is really not bad for a vintage Ampex. It does pass audio, so presumably the electronics are good or in restorable condition, and it appears to be all there. Here's something else interesting. This is a digital tape machine. It's a Sony PCM 3324A digital 24-track tape machine with remote control, sold as is for parts. These are really cool digital tape machines. I'm sure this actually sounds pretty good. I mean, it's Sony. It's the dash format, which I believe recorded 24 digital tracks onto 1/4-inch tape. But it used a special tape formulation, as these machines store data instead of audio on tape. But still, for $500, I have no idea what this would have cost new, but it was a lot more than $500. Oh, that one's in Texas too. Local pickup. That's not bad. I just don't know how you would work on one of these old digital machines like this. I don't know anything about them, and I'm sure that these are probably even more finicky to calibrate than an analog tape machine is. It would be interesting to feature a machine like this here on the channel one day, but I'm not sure if I could get something like this to work. But this is definitely an interesting part of recording history when they made the switch from analog tape machines to professional digital tape machines, and that was the era before the ADAT came out too. And the ADAT, of course, is what brought high quality digital audio recording, multi-track recording, down to a price point that smaller project studios and home studios could afford. So here we have a Soundcraft 760 tape machine. These have always looked really interesting and really cool to me, but I have read a lot of bad things about reliability on these, so I'm not really sure what to think. And this one is actually a decent price for an analog 2-inch 24-track machine, but it doesn't have a remote. And I'm wondering if it's like a lot of these machines and can't be used without the remote, because that would be no fun to have your awesome 24-track 2-inch machine. It looks like it even has a newer pinch roller on it, like a urethane one, or maybe that's just the color of the original. I'm not sure. I'm not an expert on these, but they do look interesting. It's got some wear on those heads though. You can even see that in the picture. But still, $1,130 for a 24-track analog machine. The only question is, can you use this without the remote? Do these buttons on the record electronic modules actually allow you to use this machine without the remote control? This is cool. It's a vintage Otari MX-7800, which is a 1-inch 8-track analog tape machine. These are supposed to actually sound really good, and I would imagine they're pretty reliable, but I've also heard the opposite, that out of all Otari machines, this is one to stay away from, but I'm not sure if that's true. This one looks like it's in great condition as well. This is really nice. Let's make the pictures bigger here. This Otari MX-7800 is in really nice condition. And it's all there. It even has a remote control. Wow, that's pretty nice. This is a nice package right here if you want a 1-inch 8-track machine. These Japanese machines are usually pretty reliable. And this one looks like it's in great condition. So this is a very nice looking machine, but the price tag also reflects that at $6,000. Tape machines are just getting more and more expensive. And that's probably because they don't make them anymore and there are less and less of them functioning. But this is a really nice vintage Otari machine. This thing is in great condition. He has documentation. He said it's ready to run. Pull tape down here. Has a head report from JRF Magnetics. Immaculate condition. And the tape timer and the remote that comes with this, I've never even seen that unit before for one of these. Let's see, where's that picture again? Yeah, this remote for this Otari MX-7800, I've never even seen this remote in a picture before. I've seen several of the 7800s for sale, but never with the remote. So this is actually my first time in seeing a photo of this remote that runs this beautiful vintage Japanese 1-inch 8-track analog machine. And here's another digital multi-track machine from the earlier digital era. This is a Mitsubishi X-400 16-track digital reel tape recorder that comes with tapes. Looks like Quantity 467, or at least that's what this take-up reel is. $1,000. Not too bad. Used, non-functioning. Well, And I don't know really that many people that are into these old digital format tape machines like this. But they are a cool and interesting piece of recording history. This is like a piece of industrial scientific equipment right here. And this is just a 16-track digital tape machine, not even a 24-track. So this is probably a pretty early model. There's a nice remote control. Now this is a very interesting early digital multi-track. This Mitsubishi X-400 16-track. That's a very interesting machine. Like I said earlier about the Sony, is I'd love to test out one of these earlier digital multi-tracks and do some videos about it if I could find one that was functioning for a reasonable price. I don't think anybody really uses the old digital reel-to-reel multi-tracks like this anymore. They had a very short lifespan as the format of choice, so there's, not that much demand. I think one of these would be interesting to test in modern times and just see how these things really sound. Well, originally people thought digital sounded great and everybody was trying to go to digital, and then at some point came the backlash where everybody thought digital sounded harsh. And were these early digital reel tape machines like this one the cause of that harshness, or was it the later ADAT and Tascam DA88 Project Studio and Home Studio revolution? So next we have this Sony APR-24 2-inch 24-track tape machine from the 90s. It's a cool looking machine. Looks like this cabinet's different from a lot of the designs of these kind of machines. It's got a jog wheel here on the top of it, which is an interesting feature that you don't see. Is that a splicing block on top of it? That's pretty cool. Not sure what kind of connections these are, some kind of two shell connectors, because of course Sony bought MCI, and MCI is notorious for the use of these kind of connectors, these two shell connectors. And so I'm thinking Sony, after they bought MCI, they carried over the use of these for things like this. So this was the successor to the very successful MCI JH-24 that later became the Sony MCI JH-24, and then the APR-24, which is a completely different machine from most of the MCIs. It looks like there are a few similarities in the transport. Maybe. I'm not an expert on these Sony machines like this, but again, this looks cool. This is another interesting part of analog recording history. By the time these machines and things like the Studer A827s were made, analog recording was at pretty much the pinnacle of its technology. It was at the height of what you could do with analog tape. And speaking of Otari, here is a beautiful Otari MX-80 2-inch 24 tape machine with the remote control. This one looks like it's in really good condition. These are very nice modern analog multi-track machines. These are really reliable. And of course the transports are microprocessor controlled. They have very gentle tape handling and a lot of features. This one is functionally excellent, cosmetically very good, plus all channels light up and work, remote works. So $5,500. This is a turnkey 24-track Otari, which is a very nice quality, very good sounding Japanese-made tape machine. But that all depends on the features you want. I like these more modern Japanese machines because they're just a little bit more user-friendly and a little bit more solid, and they hold alignment, calibration a lot better than some of the older ones. Of course, that's also just the relative age at work there, so I'm not really saying anything negative about Ampex or MCI because those are great machines too. Well, I think that's all of the tape machines that I have found today on Reverb, or at least all that I have time for at the moment. But I'm always trying to keep an eye on the prices on different kinds of tape machines because I really love tape. I learned to record using tape, and I just like the nostalgia factor and of course the sound of a good analog tape machine. I've always enjoyed the tape machines that I've owned, and I've owned everything from a Fostex 4-track to an MCI JH-16 24-track machine. Even though the cost of these machines has gone up over the years, there are still some good buys out there, especially if you want to work on the machines yourself and you don't mind buying parts. I hope you enjoyed checking out some analog gems on the Reverb Marketplace. I appreciate everyone that watches the videos that I make here on the channel. Thank you so much to everyone for subscribing. Make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already, and I hope each and every one of you out there has an excellent day, night, evening, weekend, weekday, hour, minute, second, nanosecond, whatever it is you're having, have a good one. Thanks for watching.